What is up, everybody? We are back for another episode of Palm City Chucks. Some might call it the return, because as we know, it's been about a month. It's been a bit of a layoff. Couple things
Yes.
happened. My dog Daisy, who has been on a few episodes in the video, she decided to rip apart my PC a little bit. So that was super fun and exciting for me. I tried to figure it out, but I'll be the first to admit I'm a software man, not a hardware man. So tried to struggle through that, couldn't get it to work. So we got a whole new system and we're up and running this week. So that's great. Additionally, I decided to injure myself and end up in the hospital for a little bit playing rec league soccer. Broke some ribs, collapsed a lung. Super appropriate for rec league soccer at the beginner entry level, by the way. So there's that. My girlfriend has made fun of me many a times for that. It's really great, as has many other people. Um, but we're back. We're back. And last time we talked about the NFC offseason a while ago. That was fun. And we're going to stick with our plan of talking about the AFC offseason in this episode. So buckle in. It's going to be another long one for you. We hope you enjoy. And with that, Chris, I'll pass it to you to talk about the Bills.
Yeah, starting with the AFC East here. Gonna dive into the Bills. Did some really good things. Um, we saw Josh Allen get extended 6 years, 330 mil. Ooh. Got some good signings, got some weapons that could potentially work out for Josh. Um, Speaking of Josh Palmer being one of them, 3 year, 36 mil. I like this signing a lot. I think he has a lot of potential and didn't really flourish in his role in years past. And I feel like he's got a good shot here to become one of Josh's favorite targets. Also got Elijah Moore on a cheap 1 year, 5 mil deal. I like this one a lot too. Elijah Moore, another guy who just hasn't really found a good spot. Had a few pops with the Browns over the last year, but yeah, nothing crazy, but could see him taking on a bigger role here in Buffalo. Um, they also extended Shakir 4 years, 60.2 mil. And something else I really like that they did, they went and got Joey Bosa, but didn't pull a Von Miller-esque move in giving him all the years and money in the world. They got him for just a 1 year deal, 12.6 mil. So I really like that move. And also extended Rousseau, which they definitely needed to do that. Guy's a baller, went off last year, got him for 4 more years, 80 mil. Also brought back Tre'Davious White, and I like this move too because I mean he's a Bill. They let him try some other things out and didn't really work out, but they're bringing him back, which is cool. And they brought Damar Hamlin back too, which I also think is cool. But like what the Bills did, a team that's going to be competitive this year, so had to at least do some things in the offseason to keep it spicy, and I think they did enough.
No, I agree. The big thing was getting Josh some actual help.
Yeah,
And they did that. They kept his favorite target from last year in Khalil Shakir, as you mentioned. Brought in Elijah Moore. Josh Palmer, I couldn't agree with your assessment more there. I don't think that he was utilized correctly in Los Angeles. And I think that he's got a chance to put up some big numbers while in Buffalo, especially with the little competition that he's facing in the wide receiver room. I'm
right.
especially excited about that with him on my dynasty team. Would love a big bump in production there. So
Yeah,
please, Joshua Palmer, love you. Um, Another addition you didn't call it that I liked Shaq Thompson.
yeah,
Kind of a fan. I liked that move. I liked that move. Um, I totally agree with Joey Bosa. I really like that as well. And to your point, 1 year. Just give
yeah.
them the
Got to
one
prove it.
year. Yep, gotta prove it. Have to. I mean, that's how these things should work in professional sports. You are a professional athlete. You underperform, go and prove it somewhere. And
Right.
Joey Bosa is deciding to do that in Buffalo. Um, we didn't mention the big Josh Allen extension there. 6 year deal, $330 million, which
Yeah.
is
Crazy.
crazy, but also quite good value for them if you look at other contracts for quarterbacks around the league. I think he did them a bit of a favor. Maybe even he definitely took less money than than he could have, I think, especially with only 250 of that guaranteed. So there's that.
Dude,
But wait,
I'd like to give somebody a favor like that. Like just to yeah, I'll work for you, but 330 mil, trying to be a nice guy. Don't want you to go bankrupt.
yeah, I mean, nice favor. Also, congratulations, Josh, on getting married in the off season. Good for you.
Yes.
So I want to talk about some departures though too. Amari
Yeah.
Cooper. So that's one of the wide receivers, but he didn't do too much for them. So I don't think that's that big of a loss, and I think that's shown by the fact that Amari has yet to find a landing spot. Teams aren't really jumping at him quite yet. Mac Hollins, just quite a personality leaving that
Yeah.
team. The shoeless man, even in the freezing Buffalo weather, doesn't use utensils. So, kind of curious if that has an effect in the locker room because a guy like that's just got to be a glue guy in the locker room. You know,
For
that's
real. Yeah.
has to be.
Any guy who's one of one, you're not really excited to lose that.
Yeah, no, for sure. We got Von Miller heading out. That contract finally done, which is great for them to get him off the books. I mean, I love
Yeah.
Von, great
Yeah.
player,
Hall
great
of Famer.
career, but it was time. It was definitely time, especially for how much money he was making. Lost Jordan Phillips as well and Raswell Douglas. But overall, I really like the moves that the Bills made. I mean, they made quite a run last year. The biggest missing piece was getting Josh some help, and they've done that, filling out the wide receiver room a little bit more. So I
Yeah.
think they did what they needed to do in the offseason.
Totally. And just another year of experience for Coleman, which that's going to help a lot for Josh. So, yeah, Bills are going to be good if you didn't think so, folks.
Yeah, and to your point on Coleman, he's got a real chance to make a big jump as well because all the guys that we mentioned aren't huge jump
No.
ball, deep route
Yeah.
guys. They still clearly believe in Coleman to be that guy for them because they didn't go and try to fill that role anywhere. I think they believe in him. So he's got a chance to make a real big jump here. Maybe foreshadowing one of my possible breakout picks in a future episode. I haven't decided yet, but I'm just going to throw that out there as a possibility right
Yeah.
now.
I like it.
Yeah, but now let's move on to the Dolphins, another team in the AFC East, one that really struggled last year, especially with Tua out. Um, and I think they did well to make sure that if Tua goes down again, they probably won't be in a position quite as bad as last year. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that Zach Wilson, one of their additions, is going to solve all of their problems if Tua goes down, but I think he's going to be better than what they had in previous years in a QB2.
Well,
Uh,
the Miami Moms are going to be really happy about this signing.
dude, Zach Wilson looks like he's like 16 years old, dude.
Yeah. Hey, it's a fetish, man.
Fair point. Fair point. Oh man, another addition for them, Alexander Madison. I actually really like this addition, especially since they're gonna a departure. I'll mention now, Raheem Mostert, so they kind of had to fill that RB2 role. So they've got Alexander Madison, and we talked about draft in previous episode, but a guy I want to call it here who might eventually take the RB2 spot, maybe sooner than expected, Ollie Gordon. So
Yeah.
I think they did a good job filling out the running back room, and with running backs 2 and 3 to follow A chain. Uh, Big Ollie Gordon fan. Just gonna throw that out there. He had a down
Yeah.
year last year for sure, and he fell way down draft boards. But if he, was able to enter the draft a year ago, the man's probably going in the first or second round. So
Oh yeah.
still some potential there. Um, they also bring in some more wide receiver help with Nick Westbrook-Akine,
Yeah.
which is an interesting one. He's probably a good wide receiver three. He was maybe one of the very few bright spots for the Titans last year, especially towards the end of the year. Had quite a few good games. I forget how many games in a
Oh
row he
yeah.
had a touchdown,
Yeah, it was
but it
stupid.
was up
It was like
there. Like,
5 or 6.
yeah, no,
It was
it was
dumb.
quite a streak.
Yeah.
So for that to be your guy that follows Tyreek and Jalen Waddle, I mean, can't really complain about that. I'm not sure about the fit overall. I don't know if he's really a slot guy. I'm not, and which to be fair, you can probably run Tyreek or Jalen Waddle out in the slot just with how
Oh, totally.
shifty they are. So in three wide receiver sets, it's fine. He'll probably get to play outside with one of those two dropping inside. Probably Tyreek, just because that's such a matchup nightmare for a slot cornerback. No, but no slot wants to go up against Tyreek. Um, so there's that. Then two more recent, actually yesterday or the day before, uh, adding Darren Waller coming out of retirement from the Giants, and the biggest one, getting Minka Fitzpatrick from the Steelers.
Yeah.
That was a heck of a trade. I'm going to mention the departures now because I kind of want to talk about this a bit. Uh, Losing Jonnu Smith and Jalen Ramsey for Minka, essentially. There's a little bit more of a nuance, picks, money stuff going on there, but that's basically the framework of the deal there is lose Jonnu and Jalen and pick up Minka Fitzpatrick. And I'm kind of curious of your take there because Jonnu was massive for them last year. Absolutely massive. Um,
Yeah, I
and
personally I love it for the Dolphins. I think the Steelers are out of their mind on this one. I mean, Ramsey is old. I'm not going to say washed. He's still good, but he's certainly not what he was. Minka hasn't had a down season. He's phenomenal. And the whole thing's just weird. He started as a Dolphin.
it's true.
Like, and then, yeah, and didn't really play. It was 1 year for them, I think. And then they moved him. And yeah, now they get him back. And he's much younger than Ramsey. Obviously, different positions, but I would say equally as important positions. Um, and then to your point about Jonnu, that was just weird. We talked about it with Tua last year and how it seemed like the Dolphins were scared of, five-step drops, like running deep routes with Hill and Waddle and all that, and putting Tua at risk of getting sacked. And I feel like they were just honestly dumping it to Jonnu most of the games. And that, not to take away from Jonnu, he had a really good season, but he didn't really do anything all that impressive on his own. It was really just soft defense, letting him get the 10-yard pickup every play. So I certainly think Waller can fill that role just fine. And then to get younger with Fitzpatrick and honestly just a better player at this point, I think it was a great move for them.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I generally agree. I guess one way to put it is sell high on Jonnu. And I'll talk about
Right.
this more when we get to the Steelers, but I feel bad for Jonnu. I don't like his landing spot there with the
No.
Steelers, but we'll talk about that more. But I agree,
Yeah.
Minka, great player. Jalen, good player, aging, and bit of an attitude problem sometimes.
Right.
Sometimes,
Yeah. And
you know.
that's a great point too, because all of that matters. I mean,
Yeah.
you want a tight knit locker room. You don't need any drama or beef. And yeah, they could have signed a problem in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that's very true. So I mentioned Raheem Mostert, Jalen Ramsey, Jonnu Smith, they're leaving. The only other departure I wanted to call out here for the Dolphins before we move on is Calais Campbell. I know he's getting old, but he's still quite effective. Quite effective. And I think that's a pretty significant loss for them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a huge loss. It's a 6'8", 360-pound loss or whatever the hell he is. But yeah, he's a baller. He is still playing though. I believe he went to Arizona.
Yep,
We
I think
probably
you're
talked
correct. Yep.
about him last episode, but yeah, it's really cool that he's still giving it a go, given his age and size. To do it that long at that size is truly remarkable.
That man's knees are going to hate him.
Yeah, man.
Are you kidding me? Like,
Jeez.
it's so impressive he's still going, but oh man, I feel pro athletes and getting old's got to be tough on the body,
It's gotta be
man.
brutal, man.
Yeah, so tough.
Sometimes I regret my sporting days, and I'm talking 7, 8 years of sample size, not 30 by the time these guys are done. My
Bro,
gosh.
I also do, and I regret even my current recreational sports.
I'm sure you do. Fucking, you're a lungless wonder right now.
Yeah. But all right, let's move on to the Patriots. What happened there?
Well, they did a questionable move, in my opinion, in signing Stephon Diggs coming off a major injury and another old head. Let's be real. I mean, I don't know how I feel about it, but I do know they needed a talented receiver for this young quarterback to grow. So I think they just went with best available, and in their eyes, it was Stephon Diggs. But they inked him for 3 years, 69 mil. So I don't know if they're going to get that out of him, but yeah. So that one's kind of questionable in my head. But um, they also they're the ones who picked up Mac Hollins, so got him some help there. That's a 2 year, 8.4 mil deal. Definitely getting what you're paying there. Mac Hollins, great player on special teams as well. Um, they addressed the edge and D line. They got Harold Landry, 3 year, 43.5 mil, and Milton Williams, go Birds, 4 year, 104 mil.
A Milton
And
Williams contract is crazy.
oh, he
What'd you sign
it's
him for last
crazy.
year? What did you sign him for last year?
Not that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But he is really good. We knew he was going to be a starter. I mean, he essentially was. Jordan Davis didn't play every down for the Eagles, so he worked a lot with Jalen Carter. But I knew we weren't going to be able to keep him most likely because his numbers were really good and he needs to be on the field most of the time. So, but that being said, I was quite surprised at that number. Um, but yeah, Pats, I mean, with the new head coach, they got Vrabel, you know they're going to care about defense. And another defensive addition here, they got Carlton Davis, 3 year, 60 mil. So really good moves for them on the defensive side of the ball. Just a little questionable on that Diggs move, but like I said, I understand it. Got to get the young gunslinger some help.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I'm hoping that at this point in his career too, that Stefon Diggs might also realize that he's not quite the same anymore. Because he's another guy who I really like, but he does also have an attitude problem when he's not being fed the ball. So I
Yeah.
think the most important piece, even if he's not putting up the numbers that he was, is that he's okay with Max spreading the ball around if he starts to fall in love with one of his younger wide receivers, like maybe Kayshon Boutte, maybe, probably not, but maybe Kyle Williams, more likely answer than Kayshon. If he starts to
Right.
fall in love with one of those guys, I think Stefon Diggs has to be okay with that and, truly mentor them. And if he does that, okay signing for 23 mil a year. But if he doesn't, then I totally agree with you and very, very questionable move. And even so, just, looking at it face value, I think it is. But there's the potential for it to be okay if Diggs can settle into that more true veteran role on this younger
Yeah.
Patriots team. Um,
I'll believe it when I see it.
yeah, no, I agree. I don't know if I see that in Diggs, but we'll find out.
Right.
Um, Another important addition I thought there that they made was signing Morgan Moses. Get Mac Jones another quality offensive lineman at the tackle. Got to protect the QB, especially the young QBs. They can get frazzled. Give them a go to
Yeah.
line. You know,
Oh, hell
it's
yeah.
all. That's just how it
Give
goes.
him that extra second to throw, man. It does wonders for a young QB.
It really does, really does. Carlton Davis, that one hurts. That
Yeah, I'm
sucked.
sure.
That sucked.
I was
Um,
waiting for your comments on that one.
Yeah, I shook my head when you brought up the name. I also have it written down. If
Well,
you didn't say
and
it, I would have, but god damn it.
correct me if I'm wrong, but he's definitely worth that contract.
Oh, he's
Like
worth that contract.
I'm
Only
shocked
20 mil a
they
year?
didn't try and match. Like, are you at a cap maybe? I'm not too sure. But
I, it's tough. I do wish that we kept him because I'm not convinced that Lions have properly replaced him, but we'll find out.
yeah.
Who knows? But some departures. Jacoby Brissett, so the vet QB2 is gone. Replace him with Joshua Dobbs though, so I
Yeah.
think Brissett's better than Dobbs, but good enough QB2. Got a few years in the league as a backup, learning from Russell Wilson, and I think he might have been he might have been off the Steelers already last year. Don't exactly remember, but he's learned under a couple good quarterbacks as a QB2, so he's comfortable in that role. Um, Losing Chukwuma Okorafor, excuse me, that tackle, which is probably why they brought in Moses, replace him there. Um, and also, big loss for them, in my opinion, maybe the biggest. David Andrews, their center, retiring. Very, very quality center. And that's the biggest change for a quarterback. That is the man whose ass your hands are on all game that you are receiving the ball from when you are under center. That's quite
Right.
a relationship to change.
This that one was quite a surprise too, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's only
Like that was kind
32.
of an out of the blue, yeah, dealio. So they might be scrambling there to find somebody, but
Yep. I
yeah.
they'll probably be all right. In terms of blocking, centers usually are like all right, and
Yeah,
most
you get
D
the guards
tackles aren't
help.
full, exactly. But as my point I make there, it really is just about the transition from the center to the quarterback, whether that be in shotgun or under
All
center.
right.
There's a lot
And
of chemistry
and
there.
just calling the blocks out too,
Yep,
seeing
organizing the
blitz. I mean,
line.
you certainly have to have a brain and yeah, if you can block a little, they'll take that too.
Yep,
But more
exactly.
importantly, is the gooch nice and warm for your quarterback on those cold New England winters?
What's funny is that there might actually be something to that. A little hand warmer in between plays. I'm not even kidding. There
Yeah,
might actually be something to that. Do
I
they
think
wear
we
a
just
heating
came up
pad
with
under there?
we just got a business idea, my friend.
Yeah, a little heating pad that attaches perfectly right where the hands go. Dude. Uh, my goodness. All right, let's move on to the Jets, the last AFC East team here. Some additions. The big one, Justin Fields. 2-year, $40 million. That's hefty contract for him, given the amount that he's
Yeah.
played. But my opinion, he could totally be worth that. I'm not completely out on Justin Fields yet. I don't think that he's ever going to be a great quarterback, but for what quarterbacks are going for these days, he could totally be worth 20 million a year for
Oh
sure.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If you're a
And
starting quarterback, 20 mil is probably the bottom
oh yeah,
line. So,
exactly, exactly. And we talked about it like last year throughout the season. I really felt like he did a great job in his first 6 games for the Steelers, and I think that they kind of did him a little bit dirty. Um,
Mhm.
there. So if he plays at all like he did in those first 6 games, he didn't make mistakes that cost the Steelers to lose the game. And the Jets have a good enough roster around them that if the quarterback isn't doing that, they could win some games for real. A-Rod was not that for them last year. He did cause them to lose games. So if Justin Fields can come in and not, it's totally going to be worth that contract. I like that for them. Um, also brought in Josh Reynolds, and this is where Chukwuma Okorafor landed. So a couple interdivision changes there. Matt Collins from Bills to the Dolphins and Okorafor from Pats to the Jets. A little interesting.
Yeah.
Those will be some fun matchups. Um,
Yeah.
and to the departures, I mentioned A-Raj, you know, Devontae also leaving, of course. Got Tyler Conklin, tight end, departing. Not a huge. I mean, he was did what he was asked to, but they didn't really rely on tight ends very heavily there, which was interesting given the fact that they didn't have a ton of weapons. You know, outside of they had Devontae. He was good, but not the same. Brees Hall, who also had a down year, and
Yeah.
then of course Garrett Wilson. But we'll see. Solomon Thomas, losing him as well. I think that's a fairly big loss in my opinion, actually. CJ Mosley, that's a big loss for sure too at the
Oh,
linebacker
definitely.
spot. And
He was a
Jalen
leader
Mills.
of that defense.
Oh yeah, no, CJ Mosley's great. Fantastic. But they still have overall a fantastic defense. DJ
Yeah.
Reed, Sauce
Well,
Gardner.
and they brought in Brandon Stevens too
Yep.
on a 3-year, 36 mil deal, which I feel like that is a pretty good deal for him.
No, I agree. That's very true. Very true. Yeah, you got anything else you want to add about the Jets, or should we move on to the AFC North?
Not really. Only other player I had here was Andre Cisco, safety, 1-year, 10 mil. Just going to prove your point. They care about defense in New York, and yeah, it's going to be a good defense for Fields. And like you said, he takes care of the ball. Could see some decent things for the Jets happening, but yeah, still not putting the
It's
bar too high.
no, I mean, it's AFC East is now like a tough division. We'll talk about it more, but in a
Yeah,
later episode. But Patriots, I think, are going to be better. Maybe not great yet, and then you got the Dolphins and the Bills that are tough. So who knows? But
yeah.
let's go to the AFC North, and we'll kick it off with the Ravens, and I'll let you take this one.
All right. So got a new backup quarterback, Cooper Rush. Got him for 2 year, 12.2 mil. Um, this is a pretty good deal. He held down the fort in Dallas the last 2 years for extended runs, and he's definitely serviceable. It's not a bad backup at all. He's not really going to go out and win you games, but he's probably not going to lose you them either. He's just going to do his job, and if other people do theirs, you got a decent chance at winning. And that's all I want when I look at a backup quarterback.
100%.
Um, yeah, and another big thing, extended Henry, Derrick Henry, 2 years, 30 mil. I'd say he earned it.
Oh,
Age is not a
really?
thing when we're talking about Derrick Henry. None of that matters. I mean, this guy probably spends 30 mil a year on his body, so
As we said many times last year, Derrick Henry eats oil and drinks gasoline, dude.
yeah, for real.
Seriously,
For real.
insane
Another
human being.
he really is. I love that guy. But another good extension they made was bringing back Rashad Bateman, 3 year, 36.75 mil. It's Mr. I'm always open. And yeah, I just want Lamar to give him the ball.
I think it's a
It's
great deal
not,
for him. Great
it
deal.
really is. And I might have him on a dynasty team, but like just get him the ball. Uh And somebody who's probably going to hurt that is they brought in DeAndre Hopkins, a 1 year, 5 mil deal. Is D Hop washed?
Yes.
Yes. It's still crazy to like see guys because like this is a probably a Hall of Famer, if not very close. And it's just wild to see them getting such small contracts at the end of their careers. But I feel like this is a good landing spot for him. I think he will be more valuable than he was last year for the Chiefs. Um, but yeah, I don't know. He is aging, so
To your point there, we are seriously getting to the age, man, where our true childhood icons of all of our
yeah,
sports that we really watched like their entire careers, like there was a previous, we saw like that back half maybe, but now we're
yeah.
really seeing we watched their whole careers and
Oh, it's
it's
sad.
coming to an end. Like it's crazy. And D-Hop's
Yeah,
one of them. Yeah.
yeah. And another old man deal. I guess he's not really that old, but they brought in Jair Alexander from the Packers. Real cheap deal. 1 year, 4 mil. So I think there's a lot of value here. If he can stay healthy, I truly believe he's one of the best corners in the league. So this deal was kind of amazing to me.
But he used to be paid
But
like it. He was the
yeah,
highest paid corner in the league previously.
yeah,
So I agree. If he can stay
yeah.
healthy, that is an absolute steal for them. Because to your point about
Oh
he's
yeah.
only 28, so that's still in the prime, in your prime.
Yeah, yeah, he's really not that old.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was astonished at that contract. It's like, what are you doing, Eagles? But it's fine. I like our youthful corners, don't get me wrong, but that's just a steal in my opinion. Another great deal they made was bringing back Ronnie Stanley. He's one of the best in the league. 3 year, 60 mil. Protect Lamar. Not that he needs protection, he can just run away from it. Uh But yeah, another protector. They signed Pritchard, their fullback, uh, one of the guys that kind of goes under the radar, but we love our fullbacks. And yeah, 1 year, 3 mil ish on that deal.
Oh, did you
And
say Pritchard? That is that's awesome. The Peyton Pritchard just coming to
oh
come
yeah,
there.
that's definitely what just happened. Damn,
Yeah.
not a Celtic.
Yeah, let's
God,
go.
stop the recording.
Love that.
Stop the recording.
Okay. No, that
That's
was that was
terrible.
gonna be the only other thing I mentioned about the Ravens there. So unless you got something else, I'll move on to the
No.
Bengals.
Yeah, I'm good there. Well, who did they lead or who did they lose? You got anything for that?
Justin Tucker. It's their only real notable departure. They had like a couple others, but
Kind of
no
scary.
real like. I mean, Tre'Davious White, if you want to call it that, but as you said
Yeah,
earlier,
not
that didn't
really.
really work out,
Yeah.
So there's that. Nelson Aguilar, Deontay Johnson.
Yeah.
Eh,
Bengals it is. What do you got?
yeah, yeah, exactly. So the Bengals brought back Samaje Perine. I like this move
Yeah, I
for
like
them,
that.
especially with, he's a good gadget guy. Did really well, high volume when he was with the Bengals 2, maybe 3
Yep.
years ago at this point. I can't remember. But Zach
He
Moss
was
is
good
just,
in that system.
oh, for sure. Zach Moss, I thought he was going to be good for them last year, but then that neck injury, and he wasn't like super great before he got hurt. And now he's just a real question mark. You never really know what to expect with neck injuries these days. So bringing in
Yeah.
Samaje Perine, I think, is a really, really great move for them. And then uh, TJ Slayton, bringing in, some defensive line help there, which they need. The defense was the problem last year, so they needed to make some moves on defense, and they made some. I don't know if I would say they made enough, to really change anything, especially when I get to one of their departures. I won't name him now, but he's a big name for them, really huge. And when TJ Slayton and Oren Burks are your two defensive signings in free agency,
Go
don't,
Birds.
yeah, I don't know that I can say that you did enough there, to be honest. Um, but
Yeah, I'd
they
agree.
did.
They were very worried about keeping their core on
That
offense
that's
this offseason.
exactly what I'm about to get to, the extensions. That was their goal for this offseason. Jamar Chase, 4 years, 161 million. Crazy. 40.25 mil a year for a wideout. God damn. Um, T. Higgins. Also a pretty nice contract for him. 4 years,
Yep.
115. They're paying their receivers 70 mil a year for those two guys. That's insanity.
That's
Absolute
so
insanity.
gross.
Like, no wonder they can't do anything else. Their quarterback plus their receivers is like $130 million a year.
Oh yeah.
Like that
Probably
is,
70% of their entire cap
yeah,
is
it
three
like that's
players.
it's insanity.
Uh,
So there's that. They also re-signed BJ Hill, so that's another defensive
that
guy
was
they
a good
brought back.
move.
3 year, 33. One of the semi bright spots from their defense from last year. So good job retaining him.
Yeah.
But um, to the departures here, Sam Hubbard, that's the big loss for them. I think he's
Mhm.
he's very, very important. I think 2 years ago, did he like challenge for the league lead in sacks? Was it, or was I don't think that was last year. I think that was 2 years ago, maybe. Um,
Mm,
maybe a little
yeah,
bit
I don't
longer.
recall.
Yeah, but
But he
something
was
like
like an
that.
all-time Bengal. He's definitely like
Yeah,
huge for them. So that is
yeah,
definitely a huge loss.
yeah. It could be confusing him with another guy, but he was huge for the Bengals either way. Big loss for them. And then Sheldon Rankins, another outgoing defensive guy there. Um, but yeah, that's what I got for the Bengals. You got
What
anything to
what
add?
is the deal with Hendrickson? Did they retain
Oh,
him? I don't
you're
even
right.
know.
Hendrickson, I think, is actually the one that I was talking about when I was speaking of Sam Hubbard
He led the
with the
league
sack.
last year.
Yeah, there we go.
That's
That's yeah,
why I thought
yeah,
of him. But
yeah.
yeah.
That is who I was thinking about right there. I think that I
So
when I was
he's
doing
gone.
maybe I don't know. I didn't
I
see
don't
him
know
on the.
either.
I didn't see
I
him
didn't
on.
even think of him until just now, but yeah,
Uh,
I don't know where he's at.
I mean,
They also
let's.
brought back Gasecki too.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. They did re-sign Gasecki. I don't remember what the details of that deal. What do we got?
3 year,
Three-year.
25.5.
Okay,
So just
pretty good value.
more offensive money just gone. But yeah,
Yeah.
Burrow definitely likes him.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm pretty sure I'm looking this up now. My new setup, guys, it allows me to have a laptop in front of me and it's really great. So
Ooh,
I can check myself when we're saying these things. Looks like Trey Hendrickson is in a contract standoff with the Bengals right now, but he's not currently
okay.
gone, and it is due to their cap issues created
Yeah.
by spending so much money elsewhere. So
Yep.
that tracks. But
That makes sense. I'm like, we would know if he
yeah,
left. Like, that's a name.
that's a big
But
name.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But all right, to you and the Browns.
Browns, I don't have much here. They Browns are definitely a team of quantity, not quality, when it comes to the quarterback position. They they have brought in Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett and drafted two rookie quarterbacks this year. So we got all of them duking it out for one job. Other than that, biggest thing they did, without a doubt, was uh, extend Miles Garrett, re-sign him 4 years, 123 mil, um, worth every penny. This guy's a stud, Hall of Famer, and he's still in his prime. And they also got that no trade clause on it too, which that just excites me. Because the last thing in the world is I want him going pretty much anywhere. Just stay in Cleveland, buddy.
Yeah, but how many years into that contract until he holds out because he wants traded?
Yeah,
Like, does it
honestly.
really mean anything? Like,
Yeah.
it should. I've said it. I'm pretty sure I've said it on a few podcast episodes, but I love it when owners hold their players accountable to their contract
Oh
when they
yeah.
try to hold
Yeah.
out and stuff. It's really gets me going, honestly. So if it does get there,
Yeah.
please,
I know we talked about it a lot on one of the basketball episodes with Jimmy Butler
that's
because we were
true.
begging the Heat to not let that man go.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But yeah, so that's really all I got there.
Yeah.
Another,
Deontay Johnson, they got
yeah,
him.
great.
Whoop-de-doo.
They
But
also signed Julian Aquara, which I only wrote down because he's a previous Lion, so that's why I called that out. A
yeah.
couple guys that left, in their acquisition of Kenny Pickett, they got rid of DTR, so upgrade there, I would say. But as you noted, they've
Definitely.
got 17 other quarterbacks, so when Kenny Pickett's probably not going to be your starter, but honestly, maybe. I can't say anything about who's going to start for them at this
I
point
have
in the
no
year.
clue.
It could
I have
seriously be
absolutely no clue.
anybody but Watson of the other four. It really could.
Right.
Like, I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised if Old Man Flacco's under center week one.
I
Seriously.
mean, Flacco's definitely going to be the best going into week one. And then if you want experience and youth, you go Pickett. And
Hmm.
if you want, let's just throw these boys into the fire, you pick one of the rookies. But yeah, I have
True.
no clue what they're going to do.
Yeah, we'll find out. Jameis, another one that left. Um,
Yeah.
big for the culture. That's gotta suck.
Yeah,
I
for
seriously
real.
love Jameis. He's in my top favorite players in the NFL for sure.
Well, he's your next tattoo, right? Isn't that what you're
Yeah,
doing?
you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
After I finish the leg sleeve, we're gonna get Jameis on the chest, actually,
Yeah.
when he's doing his
One of
W in the mouth.
these.
Yeah. Eat those W's, baby. So
Yeah.
that's going right on the chest. And then Nick Chubb, that's a loss. Um,
Yeah.
prior to last year, he would have said a big one, but who knows what Nick Chubb's got left? But he's leaving. He's not in Cleveland anymore.
Yeah.
Um, Deontay Foreman, so another running back out the door. Um, and they basically got rid of every offensive tackle on the roster. Four of them are gone. So they basically redid the entire offensive tackle room. So that's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. You always feel safe when that's happening.
Oh yeah. Oh
That's
yeah.
why they have so many quarterbacks. They expect a 2 week long lifespan.
Yep.
That's it.
Exactly.
On to the next one.
And with that, we'll go on to the Steelers, the last team in the AFC North. Um, some additions. Aaron Rodgers going to be under center for the Steelers this year. They tried it last year with Russell Wilson, trying again with another aging quarterback in Aaron Rodgers this year. We talked about it. I think it was in our episode where we were making fun of our preseason predictions. I call back to that. Um, but you said that Aaron Rodgers was just past it, and I asked you if you thought another team would sign him, and you said some team's gonna try. Well, that team is the Steelers. They're
Yeah.
gonna try it with A-Rod. I'm so curious to see how that goes. Um, seems to be being okay being a mentor to Will Howard as well, based on initial reports. So that's, good
Yeah.
start. Good start.
Yeah.
Um,
Learned his lesson.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Um, also added DK Metcalf in their trade
Yeah.
with the Seahawks. Jonnu Smith, which we mentioned earlier, in trade with the Dolphins, bringing in Jalen Ramsey, signing Darius Slay and Deshaun Elliott. So the whole secondary there really just got kind of an overhaul, which was
Does
needed.
uh does Slay make you sad a little bit?
A little bit,
I
yeah.
wanted him to go back to Detroit or stay in Philly so bad.
Yeah.
And this man's gonna go for one more in Pittsburgh. It's like, why?
Well,
For
I bet you
10
Pittsburgh.
mil
Yeah, that's
too. It's
well,
like,
Pittsburgh. I mean, he's past it. I mean, I think you know that. I think I know that. He's not the same player anymore.
no.
So I wouldn't be surprised if 10 mil was the best that he got. or close to it, and he probably didn't have to move his family that far because it's the other Pennsylvania team. So
Yeah.
like things to consider. They are humans too, so I kind of get it, but I did want him to come back to Detroit on a cheaper deal, and
Yeah.
mentor some of the young guys that we've got right now. Would have been really great, but we don't get what we want all the time, so it's fine. Um,
Well, let's dive into the Jonnu Smith. You mentioned how you don't like this move for Jonnu. You think it's a bad landing spot. Do you want to elaborate on that?
yeah, I mean, how's this going to work out? Johnny last year, he's got to be a true tight end one somewhere, and here he's not going to be. I don't
Yeah,
know if he's going to be listed one on the depth chart because Fryermuth is a quite a quality tight end, and I'd
I
say,
wouldn't personally. I'd say Jonnu's tight end two out of
yeah,
those two.
exactly. No, I agree. That's what I'm saying. Like, who knows what the
Yeah,
Steelers think, but I really like Fryermuth. So, I mean, what do they plan to do exactly with Johnny? Are they going to be The only thing with
two
Jonnu
tight
is I
end
think he's a
sets.
little small. Well, are they going to do two tight end sets or are they going to put Jonnu out wide? Because the truth about Jonnu is the one thing that might make it okay is he is a bit of a smaller frame for a tight end. I think he's only
He is.
6'3" and like 220 something, which is small for an NFL tight end. It's
Yeah.
large for a human, but small for an
Yes.
NFL tight end.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah, I
wouldn't
could see some slot work maybe.
yeah, so maybe, but you can't take Pat Freiermuth on the field off the field in favor of Jonnu.
No,
So it's got to be two
no.
tight end sets and Jonnu lining up out wide. Because I also don't think that Pat Freiermuth should be lining up out wide. I think he's great in
No.
his tight end role, but he is not not a wide receiver by any means lining up out
No.
there. So there's that, and that's just I don't think he's going to be able to put up the numbers that he did last year. To be honest with you, I just don't
Yeah.
see it. To be honest. Um,
Yeah. I agree. I mean, I kind of already said it, but like I think it was truly Tua dumping the ball off, get the ball out of his hands, keep the pressure away, kind of thing. And yeah, I expect that to be a one-off dealio. And yeah, Jonnu kind of shows us similar stats to what he had when he was in Atlanta with Pitts.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I guess Johnny knows how to play the tight end two role. So there's
Yeah.
that. Um, some departures. Justin Fields, leaving obviously. Russell Wilson leaving. You got Najee gone. Van Jefferson gone. Another big one here, George Pickens traded away, which is
Yeah.
probably for the best. George Pickens, good player, absolute diva. My goodness.
Yeah.
And
And we
Mike
wanted that DK Pickens action, and we're never gonna get it.
Yeah, no, like if once they added DK, they had to get rid of George Pickens. DK is a bit of a diva himself, not quite as bad as George Pickens in my opinion, but the two of them together probably would have been nuclear, arguing over who's wide receiver one, who needs to be getting the most targets per game. Oh my, it's pure
Yep.
cinema is what it would have been on the sideline though. Absolute cinema. Um, and also losing Cam Sutton, and as we mentioned earlier, Minka Fitzpatrick. So gonna be interesting.
Truly.
Mike
It
Tomlin,
really will.
can he
They're
do
gonna
it
find
again?
9 wins.
Yeah, no, I know.
They're
It's gonna be
gonna
9-8,
find
dude. It's gonna be. There's no it just that's what it is. That's how it goes. Yeah,
Yep.
you got anything else to add to the Steelers?
No, I think we covered it there. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, then let's move on to the AFC South, and I'll let you start with Houston.
Yeah. So this was Nick Chubb's landing spot, which I find interesting. It's because Mixon's a bit of a hammer himself. So they're kind of rocking dual hammers, and I like it. I mean, Mixon, they freaking abused the shit out of him. We saw it with Aaron Jones in Minnesota too. Like these kind of older backs just getting the freaking rock all game long and the whole season. And
They're getting their
Mixon
money's
did get
worth.
banged up too. Yeah, and he got banged up. And I think they felt that when he was out of the lineup, it was like, hey, we we need a secondary option at running back. And if Chubb can come back to form at all, that's a phenomenal RB2. So I like it. Another thing they did was get Christian Kirk. I believe it was a seventh round pick. I mean, I guess really they're eating some of that contract because he was certainly overpaid. But with Tank Dell getting hurt, Might be something here. I don't really think so because they did address wide receiver in the draft with quite a few picks. So, yeah, take what you will with that. Another important move, extended Danielle Hunter. He's a stud. Looks like they threw on another year for 35.6 mil. They also extended Derek Stingley Jr. 3 years, 90 mil. Got CJGJ from the Eagles. That's a nice move. I mean, the guy plays in Super Bowls, so
He
we'll see
does.
if he we'll see we'll see if that he does anything for the Texans there. But hell of a player. You keep his attitude in check, and you really got a stud there. Also got another safety, and I can't read my shit handwriting.
Jalen Petrie.
Jalen Petrie. Thank you. 3 years, 39 mil. Don't really know this guy, but that's a nice contract. So I'm sure he's at least decent. But
Hmm.
yeah, that's what I have for the Texans moves.
No, yeah, this was the only thing I'll add in the additions was this was Sheldon Rankins' landing spot. So I like this for the Texans. Good value move there, in my opinion. Wasn't too expensive. I think it was only 1 year, up to 7 mil, so not bad at all. Um, two big names that left were Stephon Diggs. Um, but that's probably okay given their draft strategy. As you mentioned, they didn't just take wide receivers with their picks. They use their second and their third round pick on back-to-back wide receivers. That's a good amount of draft capital. Tank Dell will
Really?
be back at some point, hopefully. Yeah, I really hope for him. That injury looked awful, but I like him a lot. Still got John Mechie, who I think, if given opportunities, could really do something. And then of course, Nico Collins. So I think it's okay that Stephon Diggs left. Um,
Oh, totally.
and then the other big one, which I'm not quite sure how this one might hurt them, Laramie Tunsil heading out the door. Really, really great tackle. So that could hurt. Covering CJ Stroud's blind side too. So we'll see.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We'll see. But with
Yeah, that
with
one
that,
definitely stinks.
we'll move on to the Colts now. I mean, generally the AFC South is going to be kind of quick. I think these teams really didn't do a lot, and I think that's because they
Yeah.
all mostly suck and didn't need to do a lot to
Right.
have a chance to do something in the
Exactly.
division. Like seriously.
So true.
So with the Colts, what they do, they signed Daniel Jones. That's going to be an interesting one. Like,
Hell
I'm going to
yeah.
ask you, do you think that he's got a chance to beat out Anthony Richardson for the starting spot?
I think he has a chance. Yeah. I don't,
Yeah,
I'd be very surprised if it's his week one. I think we could kind of see a similar thing with what they did with Flacco and give Richardson the keys. But if Richardson gets tired and wants to take a break mid-game when you're the freaking franchise quarterback,
that is the
Daniel
craziest thing I've
Dimes
ever
might
seen.
step in.
Like
Oh,
literally the craziest thing.
mind-blowing.
Yeah. Like, come on now,
Mind-blowing.
dude. That's the immaturity in A-Rich showing right there, which I mean, he was extremely young when drafted. So,
He really was.
um,
But that was still year two.
it's still
He's in the league a
100%.
whole year
No,
before
yeah,
that.
for sure.
But
But yeah, no, he's got to do better than that. But they also added Khalil Herbert, which might be
yeah.
something, might not matter at
Yeah, I like
all.
him.
I
They're
did like
down
him.
back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Give Jonathan Taylor a bit of a break sometimes.
Yeah.
Signed Charvarius Ward for 3 years,
That's a
60
big one.
million. That's a big one. I
Yeah.
really like that move for them.
It's a
And
great
Cameron
move.
Bynum as well, 4 years, 60 million. So big corner and safety signing for them.
Yeah.
Um,
Shoring up that secondary.
Absolutely. And the departures, big departures here. Joe Flacco. I, you know what? Respect to Flacco that I'm naming him as a big departure. He matters
He
to
is
this call.
though.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He is. Like, that's what I'm saying. Respect to him because he's what?
Yeah.
He's got to be 40 now, or like
Oh
pretty
yeah.
close, like maybe even 41, 42. So
Yeah.
good for him. And another kicker shout out in the departures, Matt Gay, really quality kicker. So that dude, kickers matter so much in the
Oh
NFL.
yeah.
I I I think it's understated all the time, but they matter so much.
They're huge. I mean, just look at which they do play a long time, but if you look at franchise leaders in points, most of the teams it's going to be a kicker at the top. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they're crucial. Yeah, you definitely don't want to be on the hunt for one because
No.
it's rough.
Nope. But yeah, you got anything else for the Colts there? I didn't have too much
I
else.
don't. You named everything I had written down. The only other thing I had was Mo Alley Cox, which is really nothing because I mean they drafted Warren and Mo Alley Cox had a chance for a few years now.
Yep.
I want to say they had him 2 or 3 years ago. They drafted him, so yeah.
And as we said on a
So
previous
not really
episode,
much.
the Colts had the worst tight end output in the league last year.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Between him and Granson or whatever, it's
yeah,
just yeah,
yeah, which
rough.
the Eagles picked up. Good signing, right?
Yeah, yeah. We love it.
Yep. Then I'll pass it to you for the Jags.
Jags don't have much here either. It's actually disgustingly similar to the to the Colts. We got a backup quarterback, Nick Mullins, 2 years, 6.5. They lost Mac Jones, so definitely need a backup for Lawrence. Mullins, it can get worse, but it's not great as far as backups go. Um, and then they went cornerback and safety. We got Jordan Lewis, 3 year, $30 million deal. He's the corner. We got the safety Eric Murray, 3 year, 22.5 mil. But yeah, that's all I have here. I mean, as you said, these bad teams, it's just like they're like, why spend the money? We're gonna suck anyway.
Yeah, no, that's true. Some departures I'll name here. Evan Ingram, that's a big one for them. He was a kind of a safety
It's
blanket
huge.
for Trevor Lawrence in the past few years, and I was kind of surprised that they let him go. But I that clearly means they believe in Brenton
It's
Strange. Let's
strange.
go
Yeah.
Penn State, baby! Um, taking
He
over,
had
and
some good weeks
he did.
last
He
year.
did. No, he can do it. He can do it. I believe in him. But I still think Evan Ingram's better, at least right now.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
you
definitely.
know, so.
And they actually really unlocked him because
Hmm.
New York Giants had him. And as an Eagles fan, I was not happy when they drafted him because I saw the potential
Oh yeah.
and they just never figured it out. He goes to Jacksonville, has two phenomenal years, I believe a Pro Bowl in one of them, maybe. Um, and yeah, now he's on the move again. But yeah, he was definitely a good player.
Yeah. No, yeah, we'll get to where he landed in the next division because I like it for him. But big loss for the Jags. Gabe Davis and Christian Kirk, two wideouts heading out there. Gabe Davis probably one worth, Christian Kirk was out with the injury, so not a huge impact or change there. Gabe Davis didn't do a ton in Jacksonville in his time there, but he was big
No.
for the Bills when he was there. So, but this just means they're going to give the reins even more to Mr. LSU. So it's going to be getting a lot of opportunities out there. So good for him. But yeah, that's all I wanted to add about the Jags. So we'll move on to the Titans here, last team in the AFC South, the team that I think did the most. To be fair, they needed to do the most out of the four teams, even if it wasn't a lot.
Definitely.
Um, so brought in a couple wide receivers, Tyler Lockett and Van Jefferson on 1 year deals. Tyler Lockett's an interesting one. They got him for pretty cheap. One
Yeah.
year 4 mil. Um, and if he's anything like 2 years ago, that's pure value right there.
Yeah.
But if he's anything like last year where he was getting old, uh, put it
Yeah. He
nicely,
really was.
then
I
that could
think
be a little tough.
JSN just really was. I mean, he pushed DK out too, man. JSN is a fucking force.
To be fair, I think just that Jason is a very good player, a very very good player. In my opinion, I still think I might take DK over JSN, and I think it just became one of those things where Gino had better chemistry with JSN. So that's a big thing there. I do think JSN
Yeah,
could
but
totally
then
be
they
wide
go and
receiver
lose
one.
Gino too.
No, yeah, for sure. I think Jason's a wide
Yeah,
receiver one, but I also think DK is personally. I don't. He's never going to be
yeah,
like top end wide receiver one, but I'll still take DK right now. Just random
yeah.
thought there. But Van Jefferson did pretty well with the Steelers last year, so also
Good for
not
the
a bad
Rams
signing.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah, not a
yep.
bad move.
Only 2.5 mil on a 1 year deal, so only 6.5 mil to bring in two like got a chance to make an impact type wide receivers, vets to help Ken Ward in
Yeah,
his first year and help mentor some of the new guys they brought in through the draft. So that's big.
yeah. Well said. I feel like those two guys in particular are great to have for a rookie quarterback,
Yep.
and to get them that cheap, yeah, it's a really good move. I mean, this team's just gonna this team's just going to take some time to turn around, but they definitely took a lot of good steps this offseason. Um, Not to cut you off, but they brought in a bunch of O-line help as well for Cam Ward.
Yep.
Uh, Dan Moore Jr., 4-year, 82 mil. They got Kevin Zeitler, 1-year, 9 mil.
Yep.
Um, and then, yeah, did some help on defense too. Brought in Johnny Hecker, my
Yeah.
favorite punter in the league. The
Great.
man.
Yeah, he's pretty great. I'll give you that. But like on the couple other signings I wanted to mention there, brought an outside linebacker, Draymond Jones, 1 year 10 mil. Pretty solid signing there, I thought.
Yeah.
And very similar story, another linebacker, Cody Barton, 3 year 21 million. So they made some moves. As I said, nothing like huge out the Dan Moore, that's a big one. 4 year 82 mil, but gotta do that when you got a rookie quarterback. We said it earlier.
Yeah.
You gotta protect
Well,
that
and
man.
I like what they did a lot too, because as you've mentioned, a lot of 1-year deals, and I really like that because they're just we got to get Cam Ward help right now, like so he doesn't die,
Uh-huh.
but also we don't want to put all our chips in one basket here either. So I think it was really smart the way they handled this off season. But yeah, I mean they're definitely not going to be anything crazy spectacular, but we'll get to that in another episode.
Yep. Well, let's move on to the AFC West and start with the Broncos. They made a few additions there. J.K. Dobbins, that's an
Yeah,
interesting
I like
one.
that.
I really do like it. I thought he was pretty good for the Chargers, so I'm kind of curious to see
Yeah.
how he does down
Good
there in
value
Denver.
too.
Yeah, because they're a team that was hurting for a quality running back. Because ever since Javante hurt his knee, he has not been the same. Audric Estime did a
It's a shame.
serviceable job there. I know. I thought Javante could
Mm.
have been really, really good if he didn't get hurt. And he was really,
Yeah,
really good,
I agree.
honestly. But Estime
Yeah,
did a serviceable job, but he wasn't anything crazy. So I really like that they brought in J.K. Dobbins there. Also drafted R.J. Harvey, who I think might even be
yeah,
the bell cow or pretty close to it, at least a 50-50 split between JK and RJ Harvey, um, just to
yeah.
try to keep
If
them
he's
both
not bell
healthy.
cow off rip, he will be.
Yeah. So there's that. This was Evan Ingram's landing spot, a team that didn't really
Yeah,
have a, big name tight end or Adam Troutman, I think was their starter last year, maybe at tight end, and Evan
yeah,
Ingram's
that's right.
definitely um
That's a
a
wild pull. Good
Thank
job.
you. Thank you. I actually didn't have that written down either. I swear that was actually from the
I
top.
knew. I could
Yeah,
tell you just
yeah,
pulled it.
yeah. So Evan Ingram's a big improvement there. Bo Nix looked great in last year, so giving him another weapon is just really, really good for him. Um, Dre Greenlaw, 3 year, $35 million deal. Really like that. I'm a big fan of Dre
Yeah,
Greenlaw, and Talanoa Hufanga, something like that.
yep.
Safety, 3 or $45 million deal.
That's a
So
good one too. I
there,
really like the Greenlaw and Hufanga deal. That's good.
Broncos could make some noise. We'll get to that in another episode, but I like what the Broncos
Yeah.
have done a
I mean,
lot.
this defense arguably the best in the league last year, and to add Greenlaw and Hufanga and pretty much retain everything off the top of my head anyway. I don't remember any
Yeah,
huge losses, but
the losses I noted down here in my notes: Javonte Williams
yeah.
and Zach Wilson. No defensive players, so I don't think they had
Wow.
any big losses on the defensive side of the ball.
That's excellent. Yeah. Bo
Uh,
Nix has got to be a happy guy.
Has to be, has to be. But you got anything else to add, or should you move on to the Chiefs?
Yeah, let's go with the Chiefs. They got Minshew Mania. I think he's got a real shot to steal the job from Patrick.
Oh, absolutely.
I'd say by week 4, it's probably his.
You know what? With your take on
Uh,
the Raiders last year, uh, you might actually believe
well, that's
that.
because of Minshew,
Yeah, yeah,
man. This
exactly. You might
guy's
actually believe that.
one of the best moves they did was bring back Kareem Hunt, and then they got Elijah Mitchell, formerly a 49er. Both 1-year deals, both really cheap. I really like that. I know the Chiefs like that because they like rotating through these backs,
Mhm.
changing the pace. Yeah. And they also brought back Hollywood Brown and Juju Smith Schuster on 1-year deals. also a good move because
Yep.
these are guys. I mean, as I said with the Titans earlier, like they're guys you don't want to, you know, put all your chips in a basket on. So yeah, I like that they're 1 year deals. Um, they did re-sign Nick Bolton. That's a big one.
Big one.
3 year,
Yeah.
45 mil. Which they needed to do that. I know they did lose some other defensive players, which you'll get to, but yeah, that was a good one to keep. Also got Jalen Moore, I think Moore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're correct. Yep.
Handwriting, bro. It's terrible. 2 year, 30 mil. Not too familiar with his game, but decent contract. Makes me think he's probably a decent player. They needed to address O-line. They lost Dooney to the Bears, and I think they lost another alignment too, didn't they?
Yeah, DJ Humphries sounds
Yeah.
about right. Yeah.
So
So yeah, no, you're right. I mean, the they also signed Christian Fulton, so that's a cornerback signing there, 2 year, $20 million. They probably did need to do that as well. Needed to shore up the secondary a bit. Um, Heading out the door, Mecole Hardman, DeAndre Hopkins, not huge losses there. Justin Reed, though, that is one of their big defensive losses.
that's a big one.
That is a big one. Um, Also lost Joshua Uche to the Eagles. Your damn Eagles. So that one, so there's that. So they did have some losses on the defensive end, but I want to again harp. You said it, but I'm just going to emphasize getting Kareem Hunt back for $1.5 million. The guy
Yeah,
who they
come on.
chose to play over Pacheco in the playoffs and the Super Bowl. Come 1.5 million,
Yeah.
crazy.
And
Elijah,
just to piggyback the piggyback, Kareem Hunt needs to get rid of his agent.
absolutely,
Because what the
absolutely.
hell?
He was the
That was
preferred
his
back
job.
over Pacheco in the
Yeah.
Super Bowl, and he's getting a $1.5 million contract. 1 year? Come on, dude. What are we
Hmm.
doing out here? Like, if Kareem didn't say, I'm staying in Kansas City no matter what the contract is, the agent should never be an agent again. Seriously. Seriously.
Yeah, for real.
The Elijah Mitchell one could also be that one's an interesting one. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't really matter because it's a max like
You're
two
right.
and a half million dollars. But he
Yeah.
looked really good for the 49ers before he got hurt. Because he was
Mm.
the lead back for a while too. I think in the first year that Christian was there and got hurt, I think
Yeah.
it was. And
Yeah.
he looked really good. So if he returns to that at all post injury, just another great quality signing. So then they'll have Kareem Hunt, Elijah Mitchell, and Pacheco to rotate through.
Yeah, it's kind of
Crazy.
scary.
Yep, crazy. But that's what I got for them. So let's move on to the Raiders, a potentially exciting team. I am curious to hear your take on them down the line. But
Oh, this guy.
I'm never letting that go, dude. I need you to know. Um, Geno Smith makes a massive difference for them to have Geno Smith at quarterback, reuniting with Pete Carroll, dude. So
Yeah. Super
that's
Bowl or bust.
yeah. That's exactly right for the Raiders. Um, Brought in Raheem Mostert, which, you know, I don't mind it. He had 2 years ago and like a couple of years before that, late bloomer, looked really great. Last year, not as good, and he had a pretty major fumble problem. It was really, really bad, actually. But the Raiders lost one of the departures, Alexander Madison.
Yeah.
Zamir White that they had on the roster, they expected to be the starter last year, was looked good 2 years ago at the end. That's why he got the starter
Yeah.
spot. He was not good last year. Disappointing for my dynasty. Was really hoping for a diamond in the rough there. But they got Jonty. So at worst, they've got Mostert
Right.
as RB2. So that's not terrible because Jonty's gonna get the ball a lot.
Oh yeah.
Early and often. Throw that out there. Um,
Yes. Yep.
and then also signed safety Jeremy Chin, 2 years, $16 million. So just adding another piece to that defense. I kind of went back and forth on which I thought was the most important move for them in the offseason, whether it would be Geno Smith or the one that I'm going to mention here, which is
Crosby.
Crosby. Exactly. Re-signing Max Crosby, 3 years, $106 million. 3 years, $106 million. I'll say that again. Crazy deal for that man. Congratulations, especially for I don't know how many people know his story, but they went through a lot to get where he is.
Yeah.
So really awesome to see that. Always love a good story like that. And I think it's the Max Crosby extension, honestly. Biggest move that they made in the
Mhm.
offseason. He's so crucial to them.
He's
Um,
their team.
yeah.
He's like when you hear Raiders, that's I mean, for me at least, that's who I'm thinking of.
Yeah, no, that's I agree. I agree. Um, another just two more departures I wanna mention here, which is Nate Hobbs and this one that I think is gonna hurt them a little bit more than most people would expect, because I'm a pretty big fan of his Davine Diablo. Played a really crucial role in their linebacker core the past 2 years. A ton of tackles for this guy.
Yeah.
So I think that that might hurt a little bit. But we'll see. We'll see. You got anything to add for them?
Um, I just did a How the Mighty Have Fallen type one. They brought in Devin White, which not old. Like he's really not.
He's
So
not.
there's still kind of hope with him. So I guess we'll see what happens. But yeah, you said it. Big ones, Gino and Crosby, and yeah, think they'll be a little better this year. But I'm not going to get carried away.
Not yet, anyways.
Not yet. Yeah,
Give it a couple
I
months.
need one more move, and then I'm.
They're about to go undefeated in preseason, and Chris is going to be placing futures on the Raiders.
Yeah. Yep.
Uh,
Oh man.
yep. All right, let's do the Chargers. We got one team left. Uh, who'd they add?
Chargers.
Najee. That's a big one. They pretty much changed out JK for Najee is kind of how I see it. Um, about like for like, honestly, based on last year's performance, I think I'm going JK over Najee, but Najee's younger, less injuries, and is
Yeah.
just an absolute unit. So
Well, and
there's
they
that.
brought in Hampton. I
Yes.
really wonder how they treat this backfield because, as we've said with Najee in the past, he is totally a volume guy.
Yep.
Like, if he's getting freaking 8 touches a game, it's not going to look pretty. But if that man is getting the ball 20 times a game, he'll rush for over 1,000 yards easy, and you'll get touchdowns to boot. But yeah, it's going to be interesting because I'm sure they're going to be excited to use Hampton too. I mean, first round pick. Come on.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, when you take a running back first round, you've got to have big plans for him. So you
Right.
have to. Otherwise, you can't justify using a first rounder on a running back.
Amen.
So
It's
we'll
that
see.
simple.
Seriously, it is. Another guy brought back Mike Williams.
Yeah,
Which I think good
I
for
like
him.
this one.
I think that's where he has the best chance to succeed is going back to the Chargers and Justin Herbert. And I kind of like the guy. So good
Yeah, I
for
do
him.
too.
Brought in Tyler Conklin, which is basically a replacement for Hayden Hurst, who is departing, one of their departures. So not bad. Tight end's not a huge, wasn't a huge
Serviceable.
position. Yeah, exactly. He'll do the job. He can block. Brought in Mekhi Becton, shore up the line a little bit. Dante Jackson.
Go Birds.
Yeah, 2-year, $13 million deal, cornerback. And I can't read my handwriting on this one. Elijah
Molden.
Molden. There we go. Yep.
Molden.
3-year, like,
Got you.
and yeah, I got you early. You got me this time. 3-year, $19
Yeah.
million deal. So short
Yeah.
up the cornerback room there a little bit.
Yeah. They also brought back Bud Dupree and Khalil Mack.
Mm-hmm.
Mack's amazing.
So
I
good.
mean, talk about if I'm Kareem Hunt, I'm hitting up Mack's agent. 1 year, 18 mil at this age,
Yep.
which kind of a down year for his standards last year, but he's still Khalil Mack. So I'm sure they're happy to have him back. I actually kind of wanted the Eagles to explore him, but after I saw the 18 mil, I was okay with him staying in LA. But yeah, Bud Dupree, another good edge rush. We got Denzel Perryman, linebacker. He's a decent piece. And as you mentioned, Mike Williams, team friendly deal too, one
Yep.
year, 6 mil. So I like that a lot. Hopefully they can bring back Keenan Allen and we just got the boys
Honestly,
back.
I don't think that they can give. I don't know that Keenan can get the targets he needs
I
to.
don't think
Maybe, but like I just don't see
I
it.
honestly don't I almost think there's not a place in the league for Keenan Allen at this point.
I ironically,
Like maybe like a
Steelers?
chief spot,
What
like
about
one
the
of their
Steelers?
classic 1 year. Yeah, Steelers.
Because they got DK, and then what
That would be all
after?
right.
They got Calvin Austin.
Yeah,
Um,
Austin. They lost Jefferson.
yep, lost Jefferson. They
Um,
traded away Pickens.
yeah, I don't even know who
Yeah,
else they have.
so
That's not a
maybe
bad
there.
shout.
Yeah, but yeah, so there's that. Um, I mentioned J.K. left. Joshua Palmer we talked about in the
Yep.
first team. That's a nice way to bring a full circle there.
Yeah, full circle.
Um, Joshua Palmer left, which I mentioned earlier. I think he'll do better on the Bills. I don't know that the Chargers used him quite as well as they could have. Hayden Hurst, I mentioned there, departing tight end, and we talked about Joey Bosa as well, departing.
Hmm.
But that's what you got. Anything else to add about the Chargers?
No, I think we covered it. I did mention they got I guess a quarterback battle for the backup spot. They brought in Heineke and Trey Lance. Um, so I guess we'll see what happens there, but hopefully Herbert is healthy and nothing comes of it. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's all I got.
Yeah, I think that's a wrap on the AFC offseason, and oh my gosh, how much fun was this, man, being back. I had such a
So
good
good to
time
be
in the
back.
past hour 15. To everybody that listens in, we appreciate you all coming back as well.
Thank you.
Anybody new, thank you for joining, and we look forward to giving you more content in the future. Please like, subscribe, comment. Let us know what you want us to be talking about, what you like, what you didn't. We want to hear it all, honestly. Um, and we will, I promise, be back next week with another episode. Everything's figured out. We are gonna be back. I couldn't tell you what we're gonna talk about. We're gonna talk about something though.
Yeah, we will be talking. That's for sure. All right. Later, PCC.